From the Convergence Studio in the School of Communication. From the Convergence Studio in the School of Communication, this is Loyola News Chicago.
Hello and welcome to this special edition of Loyola News Chicago. I'm Marlon Vargas.
I'm Carla Rogner. Today we will look at some of the highlights of the semester that's coming to a close.
I'm Cheryl Hong. One big story was the Ramblers reaching the Final Four. We'll have more on that in a bit, but first, some other news and changes of the past few months. May 1st is the deadline for high school seniors to commit to their desired colleges. With this year's freshman class totaling 2,700 students, 168 rooms were converted into triples, leaving over 500 students converted rooms. With enrollment on the rise, upperclassmen are no longer guaranteed housing. If you are eligible for housing, you will be placed in the housing lottery. After all vacant rooms are filled, the remaining students will be placed on a wait list. After being placed on the wait list, students will have the options to wait for on-campus housing to open to look for apartments off campus. In 2017, more than 300 students were placed on the wait list. 168 elected to stay on it, and of that, 23 students were left without on-campus housing. Loyola's rise in enrollment contributed to the lack of space. The current freshman class is the largest Loyola has ever seen. Over the summer, one of Loyola's residence halls will be getting a makeover. Simpson Center has planned renovations, including new furniture, dorm rooms and lounges, and updated plumbing. This will not lead to an increase in price for new residents. Construction is planned for May 14th to August 10th and is expected to cost $8.8 million. The renovation will not add any rooms to residence halls, even though nearly 250 Loyola upperclassmen have not been guaranteed housing for next year.
In January, Simpson Dining Hall became an allergy-friendly zone. Simpson is now safe for students.
I think it's good for Ramblers who are vegan or allergy-free. It doesn't benefit me in any way.
Simpson is now safe for students with any of the 7 most common food allergies. The dining hall offers a unique variety of food options, including fresh fruit, halal, and gluten-free meal stations. Simpson is the first dining hall to open on the south side of campus in the mornings, making it a popular spot for students to eat breakfast. But since the menu changed, many students have been eating elsewhere.
Have not come down here back here for breakfast since the first day I came.
Denobly, when I go there around 6 on a weeknight, it's so packed that I can't even find a table.
Earlier this semester, Simpson brought back milk and eggs for breakfast to accommodate students who were unhappy with the sudden menu changes. Loyola's dining service issued an apology earlier this year after a Black History Month celebration gone wrong. On February 8th, the dining hall serves mashed sweet potatoes, ribs, mac and cheese, and grape Kool-Aid to honor Black history. Pictures from the event were posted to Twitter, and thousands of people expressed their disappointment towards the university's portrayal of African American culture. Students called the situation racist and insensitive.
I was on Twitter and one of my friends had retweeted a couple of pictures from the dining hall captioned, "Is Loyola for real?" I actually thought it was a joke. I thought someone was trolling.
If they're doing that, maybe try and go for a more traditional African meal instead of stereotyped one.
Loyola Dining posted on social media that there was no intent to offend anyone with the celebration. Loyola Dining will also retrain their staff on approved promotional activity.
Last week, Loyola reached tentative agreements with the Nontenuretrack faculty union following the one-day strike earlier this month by adjunct and non-tenure-track faculty. There was a vote last week on the contract that has been tentatively agreed to by the university and the faculty union. If the vote goes through, it will provide raises and 2-year appointments for a new part-time teaching classification called adjunct instructors. Loyola President Joanne Rooney recommended the faculty to vote in favor of the new agreement. Non-tenure-track instructor Matthew Williams believes the strike was an important part of convincing the administration.
By the end of this process, after we struck, the administration was very eager to reach an agreement with us, but at the start, they were stonewalling.
Votes among members of the union representing non-tenure track faculty began last week and are expected to take a few days. Some adjunct professors at Loyola didn't see the need for the strike. Alexis Sarkeesian has been an adjunct professor at Loyola for 8 years and was not aware of the rising tensions.
I love working with Loyola students. I think that Loyola students are among some of the most intelligent, very ethical, thoughtful students that I've taught in my career. And of course I love teaching what I teach, so that always makes it very pleasurable too.
Sarkeesian teaches classes in the School of Communications, which is not involved in the strike or the faculty union. She also teaches at 3 other universities in addition to Loyola. Sarkeesian says that many adjuncts she knows teach in addition to working another job.
The 2 Loyola students who were detained by campus safety officers on February 24th are now suing the university. Alan Campbell and Paloma Fernandez claim their civil rights were violated during the incident. Witnesses shot video of the incident in the Damon Student Center on their phones and posted it to social media. Campbell and Fernandez say that they were treated unfairly because of their race, and that campus safety used excessive force. They claim in their lawsuit that the university intentionally caused them emotional distress through defamation. The case has been filed in federal court. An initial hearing is scheduled for May 10th. In light of these events, many protests broke out on Loyola's campus, including a walkout and a gathering outside of the Information Commons. The organizers of these events created a Twitter account called Not My Loyola in hopes that other students would share their stories of harassment and profiling by Loyola's police. Joanne Rooney, president of Loyola University Chicago, offered to meet with 15 to 20 students to discuss the issues surrounding this incident on March 12th. She also issued a statement that Loyola would implement body cameras for campus safety officers, as well as adding an independent task force to review problems like these. Not My Loyola denied the request to meet, stating that the university must meet its demands before they agree to sit down together. On March 1st, the group held another town hall meeting to discuss how they would respond to administration. During the meeting, which consisted of around 70 students, most agree that the university was not doing enough, and many of them felt that body cameras were not an adequate solution to the problem.
Coming up next, the Ramblers Big Dance in the Final Four. And we'll also take a look at what next season will bring for the newly famed men's basketball team.
Planning the right amount of food is hard. The Guestimator makes it easy. Just tell it who's coming and what's for dinner. Then it tells you how much to make. And yes, it even plans for leftovers. Try it at SaveTheFood.com.
Let yourself go. Let yourself go. You always come around looking so uptight. Scared that you're gonna be impolite. Is this the way you wanna live your life? Please listen to me and see the light. You need to express, let's leave our regrets.
The Ramblers began the tournament as an 11th seed, but finished in the top 4 of 347 Division I basketball teams. The Ramblers beat Miami, Tennessee, Nevada, and Kansas State to earn themselves a spot in the Final Four in San Antonio, Texas. The Ramblers ending up losing to Michigan 69-57. This Final Four appearance made the Ramblers the 4th 11th seed to reach the Final Four, joining VCU, George Mason, and LSU. Loyola Ramblers are doing more than just boosting school spirit, they're boosting the school's pocketbooks too. A successful sport team can have a huge impact on a school's revenue, rank, and prestige. Making it into March Madness wins the school $1.67 million. Getting to the Sweet 16, almost $5 million. Final Four, $8.3 million. Loyola's increased revenue is not just cash prizes. The school is also seeing an increase in freshman admissions. This is known as the Flutie effect, named after Doug Flutie, a football player who threw an infamous Hail Mary pass in 1984. Results in more admissions for a school when their teams are doing great. Besides the new student, Loyola has also been enjoying a huge increase in merchandise sales. Leading up to the Sweet 16, Loyola merchandise sales were up 500%. One of the most popular items has been famed Sister Jean bobblehead. It quickly became the best-selling bobblehead for the National Bobblehead Hall of Fame and Museum.
Loyola fans traveled to San Antonio to cheer on the Ramblers in the Final Four, where some fans received warm welcomes.
I was approached by an NCAA worker who was scanning tickets along with a friend or another coworker. And they said to me that the Rambler fans were some of the nicest fans she's ever encountered while working at the NCAA.
Chin tweeted about her conversation with the Alamo Dome worker and received more than 40 retweets and 250 favorites, with some Loyola students leaving comments of similar experiences with the arena staff. And despite losing the game, Chin says she's glad the Rambler fans were able to keep up the Loyola spirit.
Despite losing the game, I think that the fact that the fans were nice and considerate and they were respectful of everyone definitely reflected the mission of our school.
Chin spent the game cheering with a group of her sorority sisters, but says there were more than 200 Loyola students at the Final Four game. The Ramblers ended the season ranked number 7 in the USA Today coaches poll, and it looks like they'll be back in the hunt for the MVC title next year. The team will bring back 8 of its 15 players, including MVC Player of the Year, Clayton Custer. They will also welcome a transfer and have 3 recruits already committed. Head coach Porter Moser also has 2 roster spots to fill after the transfer of Cameron Satterwhite and Darius Avery. Senior guard Dante Ingram has signed with Edge Sports International, a sports marketing group that also represents former Rambler Milton Doyle, who is now laying for the Brooklyn Nets G League team. Ingram is available for the 2018 NBA draft, but just because he signed with Edge Sports doesn't mean that he will be entering the draft. The agency sees him as a sleeper, a player who could make it on a team by flying under the radar. Ingram is one of 19 players in Loyola's men's basketball program history with more than 1,000 career points and 500 career rebounds. This season, he was most known for his buzzer beater three-pointer that helped the Ramblers beat Miami and advance to the second round of March Madness.
In December, Loyola Athletics fired women's volleyball head coach Chris Muscat and hired Amanda Berkeley as his replacement. Berkeley spent the last 5 seasons as the coach at the University of Southern Mississippi. Berkeley led the Golden Eagles to 4 straight 20-win seasons and had an overall record of 104-59. After the struggles of the most recent season, Berkeley is trying to help her new team have fun while playing volleyball again.
I've seen a lot of good things from the team so far. I think they are working really hard, they're motivated, they want to get better, and they've just been a really fun group to work with so far.
In January, Loyola Athletics announced Dave Brown as the associate head coach of the team. Brown spent the last 4 seasons on the staff at University of Southern Mississippi earlier this month. He earned the AVCA 30 Under 30 Award. An award honors up-and-coming coaching talent at all levels of the sports. In March, Berkeley completed her staff by hiring Sandra Paris as her assistant coach. Paris was a member of the women's team of the University of Toledo. Men's volleyball team wrapped up their seasons last week with a 3-0 loss to the Ohio State University in the MIVA tournament finals. The Ramblers finished the season as MIVA champions with a record of 23-7 overall and 11-3 in the conference. Multiple players received MIVA awards honors at the end of the season. Freshman Garrett Zog was named MIVA Freshman and Freshman of the Year and named to first team All MIVA honors. Zog is the first freshman to win Freshman of the Year since Thomas Zaki in 2013, along with Zog, junior Colin Mahan, and seniors Ricky Gevis and Jeff Gendrick were also named first-team All-MIVA. Head coach Mark Hulse also received honors as he was named MIVA Coach of the Year. Hulse is the first Loyola coach to win the award since Shane Davis won in 2014.
Due to the increase in women deciding to go through recruitment, Loyola's Pan-Hellenic Council will welcome Kappa Delta to campus next fall. Earlier this semester, over 500 girls went through the formal recruitment process, with each of the 6 sororities on campus taking in close to 90 new members. Last year, about 75 new members were welcomed into each of the 6 sororities, and the pledge class sizes are now almost double what they were 4 years ago. This year, the Pan-Hellenic Council even added an extra day to the recruitment process this year. Sororities are becoming more popular, partly because of the growing female ratio at Loyola, with about 65% women to 35% men. Along with the new sorority, Loyola will also be adding another fraternity, Phi Kappa Psi. This addition comes after Sigma Alpha Epsilon was suspended for hazing last year. In February, Loyola's chapter of Alpha Sigma Alpha was suspended while the university was investigating possible misconduct. Just about 6 weeks later, the sorority has resumed full activity. The university is continuing its investigation into possible misconduct, including hazing after 9 anonymous allegations were made, one of which was from an ASA member. These allegations were submitted to the Ethics Line, an anonymous hotline where complaints can be submitted anonymously against university programs or individuals. In several emails sent to the members of the sorority, the Office of Student Conduct and Conflict Resolutions Director said the university has been made aware of the violations to its policies regarding hazing, harassment, and bullying. Though the sorority has been permitted to resume regular activity, OSCCR said they will continue their investigation.
After the break, you may no longer be able to shop at some iconic stores. And will we ever get a break from this weather? It's the end of an era for America's largest toy store chain. Jackie Dries reports on the nostalgia customers are experiencing.
Toys R Us is preparing to close its doors after announcing plans to put its more than 700 U.S. stores out of business. The company began nationwide liquidation sales last week, which have left some parents feeling emotional.
My son is just 1 year old. I grew up with Toys R Us, and he's not going to experience it at all. This is like his second trip coming to the store.
Shoppers have been going to Toys R Us since it opened more than 60 years ago for its interactive shopping experience, which some people worry kids will now miss out on.
So being in there was a little bit weird, seeing everything all over the floor, and it was sad to me. I just don't think kids are going to be able to grow up with anything like this.
Some parents are trying to make the most of the situation by bringing their kids out for the big sales.
I'm sad about it. It was like a childhood memory, so bringing my daughter here has always been fun.
Hi.
Did you have fun at Toys R Us?
On Toys R Us, I had fun.
Toys R Us initially filed for bankruptcy last September before making the recent decision to shut down all of its stores. A GoFundMe has since been started by Isaac Larian, who is the head of the company behind Bradstall's and Little Tykes, to save Toys R Us by raising $1 billion by Memorial Day. Loyola senior Allie Mohan says she's sad Toys R Us is closing, but she's not optimistic about the GoFundMe.
nostalgia alone is not going to be able to save and keep this running. And like the idea of having stores that are so specific is like a cool idea, but people in reality don't prefer it when they can do stuff like order on Amazon or go to places that have a lot of things, you know.
The toy store chain has been a large provider in toys ranging from arts and crafts to virtual video games. And while liquidation sales are underway, it's unclear when stores will officially close. Jackie Drees, Loyola News, Chicago.
It's a tragedy we are losing a big part of many people's childhoods. We will look forward to seeing what kind of changes the toy industry will make in the future. Much like Toys R Us, the remaining Carsons locations are expected to close their doors by the end of August. The parent company, Bon Ton Stores, filed for bankruptcy protection earlier this year and did not find a new buyer. Carson is a Chicago-born company that has been around for 164 years. Starting last week, Carson's locations began liquidation sales, which will run for 10 to 12 weeks before they close all 40 Bon Ton-owned chains in Illinois, along with more than 250 other locations across the country. Coupling with those 40 stores with the 31 Toys R Us stores closing, nearly 5.6 million square feet of retail space will be vacant in Illinois by the end of this year. This also means more than 20,000 people will be left without jobs.
The iconic John Hancock building has lost its name earlier this year. It's now called by its address 875 North Michigan Avenue. The skyscraper was originally named after the John Hancock Insurance Company when they built the tower almost 50 years ago. But despite the name, John Hancock hasn't been in tenant for many years, and the company has asked that its name and logos be removed. The name was changed before a replacement had been chosen, so for now, there is no official name, just an iconic address on Chicago's Magnificent Mile. Loyola's Black Cultural Center, or BCC, has celebrated Black History Month earlier this semester with a screening of the action movie Black Panther. Many found it a groundbreaking film and casting.
The first Marvel film with a black main character and almost all black cast, so it's historic.
Since its release, Black Panther has grossed $665 million at the box office, becoming the highest grossing superhero movie of all time. The movie is still playing in theaters today, more than 2 months after the original release on February 16th.
One of the highlights this semester was the weather. It was an exceptionally long winter in Chicago, and spring has taken a long time to arrive. In February, we had the deepest snow since 2015. We expected things to warm up after mid-April, but there was light snowfall just last Thursday. This week, we are seeing more temperatures in the 40s. This has been the coldest April in 20 years. That's okay, guys. Next week, we're expected to see upwards almost to 80 degrees.
Well, that'll be a nice break from studying for finals to get outside.
I'm definitely ready for the warmer weather. Definitely ready.
I think we all are. Thanks for watching our special edition of Loyola News Chicago. It's been fun to look back at the highlights of this semester.
Join us Thursday for our last newscast of the semester.
In the meantime, please take care and have a good one. Thanks for watching.